So remember, this is a forest, so we cannot have vehicle patrols at all. So most of the patrols are dominated on foot patrols. And on foot, we can only cover certain march distance. But when you bring in the horses now, that really expands the coverage in terms of mileage of those patrols.
Welcome to Series 3 of Tusk Talks.
My name is Joanna Eede, and I am a nature storyteller and head of communications for Tusk.
In this series, we speak to the men and women putting their life on the line every day, working as wildlife rangers. Tusk organises the Wildlife Ranger Challenge alongside the Game Rangers Association of Africa, and the challenge raises vital funds for and awareness about the work of wildlife rangers across Africa. We are hugely grateful to all our sponsors, including our founding sponsor, Mark Scheinberg.
Today, we're very pleased to be talking to Enock Odera Ochieng, who is the Patrol Programme Officer at the Mount Kenya Trust in northern Kenya. Good morning, Enock.
Good morning, Joanna.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. You are Patrol Programme Officer with the Mount Kenya Trust, and I think I'm right in saying that you've been in that position for about 8-10 years?
Yeah, from 2016, yes. Almost hitting 10 now.
Can you tell our listeners a little bit about Mount Kenya Trust and what it does?
Yeah, so Mount Kenya Trust is a non-governmental organization, is an NGO in conservation. We are mandated to, in collaboration with other stakeholders, including Kenya Wildlife Service and Kenya Forest Service, mandated to do security on Mount Kenya conservation area, which include both the national park as well as the forest reserve. Mount Kenya Trust basically has quite a number of projects that works towards the conservation of Mount Kenya, which these include both the security that we're talking about. We have rehabilitation of the forest on degraded areas. We also have the health project, and we also working with Rhino Arc in fencing the Mount Kenya, where we're going to try and fence in the wildlife and fence out the people. So there are quite a lot of projects that are going on under Mount Kenya for Trust that are geared towards conservation of Mount Kenya.
I see. And a lot of your conservation work and your patrolling, your patrol officer, takes place on horseback.
Yes, so we have one team that is mandated to patrol on horseback, and this has been helpful, especially in gaining mileage of where the rangers will reach in the forest. So remember, this is a forest, so we cannot have vehicle patrols at all. So most of the patrols are dominated on foot patrols. And on foot, we can only cover certain march distance. But when you bring in the horses now, that really expands the coverage in terms of mileage of those patrols.
So do the rangers have to, when the rangers arrive with you, can most of them ride already, or do they learn how to ride when they join you?
So what happens here is we actually learn on the job for our rangers who are mandated to be patrolling on horsebacks. They learn on the job. So what happens is initially when the horses came in, so certain rangers, the pioneer of rangers that started working with horses, they were trained on how to look after the horses or ride the horses on patrol and all these sort of things. And now when we have changeover, because you see in rangers world, you cannot work in a certain area for the rest of your employment term. So what happens is we have to have what is called changeovers. So now what happens is when we're having a changeover, we retain certain pioneers, like 2 or 3, that will now guide the rest who are coming on how to ride. So the rest of the teams of the new rangers will be learning on the job, how to take care of the horses, how to take care of the stables, even how to ride. They learn on the job on themselves. So we don't take them again out for training, or we don't bring in a trainer on that. So they just learn on the job. It's quite a challenge for them, but they love it.
Yes. And are the horses trained in a particular way? I mean, there is a risk that they could come across predatory animals? Are they trained to respond in a certain way?
By the way, these are not really like these are ponies. We just call them Moses, but they are Ethiopian ponies. So the training they had is on the riding. So for them, they just act like a vehicle. You take us from one point to another. How we are going to react when we get a poacher or anything, that will be on us. So if we need to increase the speed of chasing this, that's all he'll do. But on how to tackle the poacher or anything now, that's all on the ranger. So you either drop off the horse and do the rest on foot or do the rest. But then that's when there's no way. We haven't trained our horses on how to tackle the poacher or anything like that.
So it's all down to your responses.
Yes.
So what is are your main responsibilities as rangers for the Mount Kenya Trust? What are the main things that you are looking after and protecting? What are the main functions of your roles?
Yeah, so part of the roles that we do as rangers of Mount Kenya Trust is majorly on security. And in security, we have a lot of challenges that we are going through on illegal activities. We've talked of poaching, which generally is not elephant targeted, but they are bushmeat targeted poaching and hunting. Then we have the illegal charcoal burning, which we have actually mapped areas where we have all these illegal activities and happening. And we work with intelligence officers from the KWS who give us some intelligent information to target those particular areas. And we also, the team themselves also have their informants who help them raise those issues whenever they're coming up. Like I said, there's fencing post, illegal logging of especially the indigenous forest, and we coming into problem animal control. We generally call it PSC, problem animal control, where the community can call us in when there's animal break, like especially the elephant has broken into the community. We go. Of course, we cannot do it on our own because Mount Kenya Trust Rangers, we are not armed. So we have to bring in KWS and we give them resources, for instance, a vehicle and a driver to actually take them to those particular areas where there was a call of problem animal control. And then now they can help do their thing like they've been taught to do it. But of course, with our rangers, and of course, just to bear out the community, because when there's the problem animal control, the community usually comes out. So we have to probably put them away or just try to protect them from coming into contact with the wildlife.
I see. So when we talk about animals, what animals are you particularly? We'll come on to elephants in a little bit because I know there's an amazing elephant corridor in your area, your protected area. But what other animals are you talking about?
So we're talking buffaloes, we're talking elands, we're talking zebras, we're talking bushbacks, we're talking sunnis, we're talking waterbacks, just quite an array of wildlife. Porcupine, by the way, we kind of forget about them. Yes, so it's just quite an array of wildlife in terms of even the body masses.
What you said, Sunni? Did you say Sunni?
Yes, yes.
What is that?
It's very quite small. I think it's the smallest antelope.
Ah, right.
Yes.
Gosh. And you have a number of quite a large elephant population. Is that right? And in a few years ago,
Yes.
the first elephant underpass was built under the road so that elephants could have an elephant corridor,
Yeah.
a really well-functioning elephant corridor that would allow
Yeah.
them to go from one area to the next to find food and mates and friends.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So this was done in 2000 when it was actually opened up for usage by the elephants, and initially it was meant for the elephants. This we are talking about the elephant corridor. So the elephant corridor actually is a 14 kilometer stretch of land that was set aside by the Kisima Farm and Marania farms. These are personal properties because using the trackers that was put on elephants long time ago, that was showing that that particular area was quite used by elephant in moving from Mount Kenya to the northern area and vice versa, coming back to Mount Kenya. So now, looking at those colored data, showed that that was actually a good place to put the elephant corridor. Now, then the elephant corridor was constructed. Now, when this was constructed, we found out that it was actually going past the A2, that is the main road that is connecting the city to the northern area, the Isiolo part, going all the way to Marsabit. But now, to minimize on the road kills of this, we constructed the underpass. Now, where the road now was going over, and then the elephants were using the underpass to cross, minimizing the road kill of elephants in that particular area.
Uh-huh.
So this has really impacted us. And when it was actually opened up, on the first day that it was opened up, because of the use of the elephant dung to put along that corridor, it was used on the first night that it was actually opened up to be used by one elephant. Yes, by one elephant to move from the north. And from then onward, we have actually now seen a lot because we have camera traps at the underpass, both at the end pass and the underpass. And we actually now seen a lot of wildlife using it, not only in elephant. Like I said, we actually put it up for the elephant, but now all these other wildlife are using it. We are now seeing lions are coming from lower side into the Mount Kenya. We're seeing buffaloes. We're seeing hyenas. Just a lot of wildlife that are actually now coming in to use it.
That is fantastic. That really is. And
Yes.
what has it shown in terms of your intelligence gathering and your data gathering about elephants? How has it helped them?
Quite in terms of their movement, this has been quite vital for them because now this that movement of elephants and we know the destruction part of elephants, so them breaking out. But you see, this corridor is still intact in terms of the trees that are here. So they have actually learned to use it as a movement, not as a resident area. So we will see the same family of elephants moving up and down, but none of them is staying here. Probably it's because of the size, or probably they have just adapted that, oh, this we need to move from this area to the other area. So even if you look at the terms of trees that were planted there, the indigenous trees, the destruction is so little that and shows you that they actually are using it majorly for moving, not as a residential area. Yeah.
Yes, that's fantastic. And Enoch, did you take part in this year's Wildlife Ranger Challenge? And did your team take part in it?
Yes, and actually, this was our fifth year taking part in WRC Wildlife Ranger Challenge 2024. So we started with the initial event, which was done in 2000.
Wonderful. How many of your rangers took part? Was it four? Did you have a team of four?
Yes, so basically, in terms of logistics, it's quite because of time consumption and all this. So we always just register one team
I see.
because
Yeah.
in terms of logistics, so we only register one team of four rangers, and it has really come popular for our rangers that whenever they hear this, there's that chance of a wildlife ranger challenge, everybody wants to participate, but we only have that chance of only four rangers. So
I see. And did you spend a long time training in advance?
yes, what I liked with this planning of these years, it gave us quite a lot of period to train. So there was quite a lot of trainings, and even in between the heat challenges, we had a lot of time to train ourselves even before going into the next heat. So the planning for this year was quite good enough for us to train and actually acclimatize with the trainings and the heat challenges as well.
So, what was your route like?
So I think for Mount Kenya Rangers, we always have the advantage of the altitude. So for us, we train at 3,200 altitude, 3,200, and on the mountain we don't have like a plain or a flat ground to train on, so we usually just have the the rift valleys. We have the valleys and the hills to run, but remember we having the advantage of the altitude, 3,200 meters above sea level.
Yes, so that probably makes you much fitter, quicker as well.
Yes, but I think not as quick as those, because we didn't. If you say quicker means we ought to have won the race, but we didn't win. So I think it just gives us, in terms of acclimatization, I think it gives us an advantage, not even the quickness. Yes.
Yes. And can you explain why the Wildlife Ranger Challenge is such an important event for rangers?
Yes, so Wildlife Ranger Challenge is an important event for rangers, basically because one, it gives us a chance of competing between ourselves in terms of just checking on the other. How many kilometers did you make today? Oh, I made 10, you made 5. You see, something like that. The comraderiness between those who are competing. In terms of the heat challenges, how many did you make this time? I made 210. How many did you do this time? And I mean, next time I'm going to beat you on this. So that's just the camaraderie part of it is very vital. But the other part also is just an extra fund for the rangers to doing their part, like in training, in capacity building, just extra fund in our salaries as well, extra fund to keep us going. But the other thing that I also learned, especially these years, in terms of our fundraising as Mount Kenya Trust, we brought in the public in terms of fundraising. People are registering to run with the rangers, because in our fundraising we actually asked KWS and KFS to give us a loop of 10 kilometers within the forest. This is something people would like to go into the forest and know that whatever I'm contributing is going to a greater good. So we actually brought in the public, which are basically the children and those who are funding, or those who are our donors. Just the donors seeing what the rangers are doing, the rangers meeting the donors one on one. That was also a good thing that happened for us. Just even the rangers knowing that these people are out there actually acknowledging what we are doing. But more so is the funding that we are having to boost what already is there for the rangers. I think Wildlife Ranger Challenge is quite important in that aspect.
Yes. Um, what would you say are the most important things that our listeners understand about the work of wildlife rangers overall? Why are they so vital for our planet, for biodiversity?
So you see, a ranger is somebody who is mandated to protect a conservation area. So in terms of protecting it for future generation, that's what we say. But not just protecting it for future generation. Rangers themselves are important in terms of firefighting. I mean, when a firefight, a wildland fire happens, who will we call first? We won't call a Kenyan police. We won't call a policeman, but we'll call a ranger. The conservation area is on fire. Is the ranger who is coming first? I mean, there's an animal in my property. I cannot walk. Who will you call? I'll call the ranger first. So their work is quite important to be realized in terms of they are rescuing what is needed for the future.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So they have a very diverse role, is what you're saying. They do all sorts of.
Yes, ranger has quite diverse role. So, as myself, what I say, I'm a ranger, I'm a guide, I'm a teacher, I'm a parent. I mean, there quite a lot of diverse one ranger can actually do.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Enock, thank you very much for joining us. And it's been lovely speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Joanna, and thank you for having this opportunity to actually tell people what Wildlife Ranger Challenge is. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
If you're inspired and would like to find out more about the Wildlife Ranger Challenge and the vital work that wildlife rangers do in Africa, please see wildliferangechallenge.org. Please also subscribe and share this podcast to help spread the word. Thank you.